welcome to Whispers of Ink. I'm Machado de Assis, and now I will read one of my stories.
Let's start with the book Before the Tarpeian Rock, which is part of my novels collection. Chapter 1. I don't know how I got there. Standing on that rooftop. It was a narrow, sloped piece of old roof, barely wide enough to keep my balance, with just a small wall behind me, maybe half a meter high. I couldn't remember exactly why I had come up there. Maybe I was looking for something. If I was, it was gone now, lost or blown away. But there I stayed, trapped up high, with no way down. That's when I started to realize this was a nightmare. It's been a few years since that day. The street, or maybe it was a road where this building stood, was completely empty. From my spot up there, I looked in every direction, but there wasn't a soul in sight. No help nearby, not even a stick or a rope. I moved slowly, carefully, from one side to the other, trying to find a way out. The tiles were old and fragile, and one wrong step could send me tumbling down. I kept staring into the distance, hoping someone would come. I looked down too, but jumping wasn't an option. The drop was huge. Death was certain. Suddenly, I don't know from where, I saw a few people walking down below. Some came from the right, others from the left. I shouted as loud as I could to the one closest to me. "Sir, please help me." But the man didn't hear me. He just kept walking. I called out to another, and another. Each one passed by without hearing my voice. I stayed still, pressed against the wall, shouting like thunder. My fear grew stronger, and I started to feel dizzy. I screamed for help, for someone to bring a ladder, a rope, even a stick. I begged for a sheet to catch me if I fell. But it was all useless. The people kept walking away. Only 3 were left, then 2, then just 1. With what little strength I had left, I shouted one last time. "Help! Please help!" It was a young man, well-dressed, walking slowly while looking at his boots and trousers. He didn't hear me. He just kept walking, and then he vanished. Now completely alone, I didn't stop screaming. I saw no one, but I saw the danger clearly. My pain was unbearable. My terror had reached its peak. I lay there staring at the floor, then out the window, shouting for help, my head spinning, my hair standing on end. I don't remember if I actually fell, but suddenly, I woke up in bed, gasping for air like someone escaping a nightmare. Relief washed over me, the kind you feel when you finally wake up from something awful. But here came a strange thing. Now that I was safe, I began to enjoy the memory of the danger. Truth is, I had lived through a few wild moments of pure terror, vertigo and despair, caught between life and death like a shuttlecock in the hands of 2 gods. But now that I knew it was only a dream, the whole thing looked different. It gave me this weird wish to go back there, to feel it again. What harm could it do if it was just a dream? That's what I thought, eyes closed, half asleep. I hadn't forgotten the nightmare's details. And the certainty that I never really fell only made me want more to find myself again on top of that wall, alone and terrified. So I squeezed my eyes shut tight, trying not to wake up fully, so my imagination wouldn't drift to other thoughts. I fell asleep again. Dreams came in picture a voice, there a face, groups of people, houses, a hill, gaslight, sunlight, 30,000 confusing things weaving and unraveling. Then, suddenly, I saw a rooftop. It reminded me of the other one. And since I had fallen asleep hoping to pick up where the nightmare left off, I felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. It was the roof of a house. The house had a window. At the window stood a man. He smiled and waved at me, opened the door, invited me in, shut it behind me, and put the key in his pocket. "What's this?" I asked. "To keep us from being disturbed," he replied with a grin. He told me he had a book he was working on, a lawsuit to handle, and was running for a seat in Congress, 3 endless projects. He talked about the book, 300 pages full of quotes, footnotes, and appendices. He explained the ideas, the method, the writing style, and read me 3 chapters. I praised them. He read me 4 more. He rolled up the manuscript and told me he could already see the criticisms coming. He listed them one by one and shot each down. I sat there, sharpening my ears, secretly hoping someone would show up, a robber, or the law, anyone to break the tension and knock down the door. When he mentioned justice, it was only to explain his case, which he said was nothing but a theft by his opponent, and he would beat him, no matter what it took. He held nothing back. I heard the full story, the reason behind the lawsuit, every step of the legal process. Mixed in with little stories like the clerk who had been bought off, or the lawyer who couldn't be trusted, the secret talks with the judges, 3 court decisions and the reasons behind them. After years in court, this man knew every law, every decree, every regulation. He quoted books and paragraphs, and even threw in some Latin phrases. At times, he walked around while talking, acting out the scene to help me visualize the land dispute. There was a river here, flowing down this way, and meeting another farther ahead. On one side were the lands of so-and-so, on the other, those of such and such. A clear act of theft. What did I think? I nodded yes. He wiped his forehead and moved on. His political candidacy, he said, was fully legitimate. He admitted there might be other decent candidates, but his was the most solid. He had served the party for years. This wasn't some small thing, no begging for votes. He told me about the 20 years he spent fighting in elections, supporting friends in the press, and obeying party leaders. Shouldn't that be rewarded? Was he supposed to give up his spot to someone's son? He read the official letter. It was only 3 pages long, but with his added comments, it stretched to 7. Was this the man they wanted to stop? Let them plot, he said. He knew they were already trying to ruin him. Anonymous letters kept arriving. Let them rain down. They could dig into his past all they wanted, but they'd find nothing but a clean life. And humbly speaking, a life full of virtues. He started with nothing, he said, very little money. Whatever he had now came from hard work and saving every penneth, 2 real keys to success. He stood there alone, without any of those old levers that could have easily smashed the door down, but it didn't matter. He kept talking, telling me everything he was, everything he wasn't, everything he could be, everything he might have been, and everything he still could become. He compared himself to Hercules, the kind of man who could clean out the Augean stables without breaking a sweat. He was strong, capable. All he needed was time and a fair chance. If people gave him justice, if they gave him their votes, he would take care of the rest. And the rest, I admit, was even more than I had expected. I, on the other hand, felt defeated. I stared at the door, silent and unyielding, offering no hope at all. Lasciate ogni speranza, I thought, abandon all hope. But no, it wasn't just hope. It was reality that hit me again, waking me up suddenly in my bed. It was still late at night, but I didn't even try to fall back asleep like I had done before. Instead, I got up to read, determined not to close my eyes again. Why? Why did I feel the need to stay awake, to avoid going back to that place in my dreams, a place with the same man? The same book? The same struggle? The same candidacy? Why did I fear seeing them again when, not long ago, I had faced them all with a smile, ready to climb back onto that same roof? Dear reader, the answer is simple. I believe there is something thrilling, even attractive, about being close to danger. But there's nothing exciting about being stuck in a boring, frustrating situation. You can look back on a deep abyss with some strange pleasure, but no one looks back on a dull, tiresome person without a shiver of discomfort. Give me the Tarpeian Rock any day, at least it ends quickly, rather than a life spent dealing with a dreary, unremarkable man.
Thank you for listening so far. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like our channel and click the bell to be notified whenever a new book is read. Have you heard of Machado de Assis? Machado de Assis, born in Rio de Janeiro in 1839, is considered one of the greatest writers in Brazilian literature and a master of psychological realism. He was a novelist, poet, playwright, and short story writer whose works explore the complexities of human behavior with irony, subtlety, and deep introspection. Among his most famous novels are Dom Casmurro, which questions truth and memory, and the posthumous memoirs of Brás Cubas, a satirical narrative told by a deceased man. Machado's literature often reflects the contradictions of Brazilian society, addressing issues like race, class, power, and identity in a sophisticated yet accessible style. Despite being born into poverty and facing racial prejudice, Machado de Assis rose to become the president of the Brazilian Academy of Letters and a symbol of literary excellence. His sharp wit and profound observations about society and the human soul make his works timeless and universally relevant. Today, he is recognized not only as a Brazilian icon, but also as a world-class author whose legacy continues to influence generations of writers and thinkers. Machado de Assis shows us that literature can be both elegant and critical, intimate and universal, humorous and profound. His stories remain as powerful and thought-provoking today as they were more than a century ago. Machado is a treasure of world literature, and through his voice, we discover the infinite layers of the human experience.